Okay. Oh, so I'm here to tell you about, like Liz said, Fort McMoney. So it's a game doc we released last year. And it was imagined about 3 years ago when David Dufresne, the director, approached us with the idea of doing a documentary about the region of Fort McMurray in Alberta, Canada, coupled with a SimCity-like game. And we thought this idea was really interesting and a little crazy, so we decided to get on board. And we fortunately convinced the French side of the National Film Board of Canada, l'ONF, as well as ARTE France, to come on board with us, and we got financing from the Canada Media Fund. So why tell about Fort McMurray? So Fort McMurray is a region in the north of Canada. It's about the size of Florida. It's interesting because it's the third largest oil reserve in the world. It's also Canada's economic backbone and what our Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, is talking about all the time. It's also known as Leonardo DiCaprio's spot to complete the Ice Bucket Challenge with Adam Allen, one of Fort McMoney's character. So I'm going to show you a little teaser so you can know more about what I'm going to talk about.
The first impression most people have is the long drive north in the middle of the forest for a couple of hours of time, and all you see are the trees, and you wonder if there's going to be a civilization at the end. But inevitably, when we got into town, it was just better than we could have imagined.
C'est à ma connaissance une des villes qui a connu la plus forte croissance en Amérique du Nord tout au long des dernières décennies.
In short, it is an enterprise of epic proportions, akin to building the pyramids or China's Great Wall, only bigger.
Let's go to McMurray, the big boom town.
The average salary for a family is somewhere around $180,000 a year.
Everybody's living hard, drinking hard, playing hard, spending their money, and God bless them for spending their money.
We are so much more than money. We're more than oil sands. We're more than money. We're a community.
All across the globe, people are benefiting from what's happening here.
They call it development. We call it destruction.
We're proud of the oil sands and what it contributes to the nation and to around the world. We take the environmental concerns very seriously.
The oil and gas industry has fostered education, it extends the lifetime, it improves the quality of life. I'd say it's improved democracy.
Vous avez juste un employeur. Vous l'appelez Total, Syncor, Syncrude, Exxon, c'est un employeur, c'est oil.
Fort McMurray is supposed to be the #1 place to make money in North America.
There's no big wealth here, except maybe in the pockets of the oil barons and their lackeys.
It's capitalism, right? Isn't it?
So, what's Fort McMoney? First of all, it's a real-time documentary game exploring the political, social, environmental, and economical issues of Fort McMurray's oil sands exploitation. Our goal was really to gamify pure documentary content. Our goal with Fort McMoney was, it's such a complicated global issue that we wanted to put the whole city and its community in the hand of the players, so they could explore it as they wished, so they could forge their own opinion of what's going on over there, and to a certain extent, to our planet's energetic future. So what we offered the players a possibility was make your worldview triumph, which may seem like a pretty idealistic goal, but I think we got pretty close by offering a democratic game setting. And a second goal was to infiltrate an oil sand site. So we did that on the course of 4-week cycles. We invited the users, first of all, to explore the city and find clues. So there were about a dozen of those places you could explore, so you could access content and characters. The characters you could then interrogate. So you could meet Melissa Blake, Fort McMurray's mayor, the CEO of Total Canada, Randy River, a homeless man who used to be an oil industry worker, Ariana Johnson, who's the food bank manager, or Adam Allen, you saw with Leo, who's Fort Chip's First Nation chief, a place really affected by the water polluted by the industry. In the game, you could also follow in real time the news that's happening in Fort McMurray, I'm sorry. And you could participate to surveys about local questions, like should we build a second highway from Edmonton to Fort McMurray's because the one that's here now is not sufficient for the amount of cars passing by, and it's now called the Highway of Death. And then, so the more you explored the city, the more you participated to surveys, you could accumulate influence points. And those points would be really useful when it comes to making your worldview triumph, which could happen into the debate. Because at the end of each of the 4 weeks of every cycle, we would hold a referendum concerning big global question like should there be tighter environmental controls or should taxes on petroleum be higher. So people could debate, so add comments in the debate section and vote for what they think is best for the country and for eventually the world. So the more points you have, the bigger place you take in the debate. And for example, if you have 1,000 points, you have 1,000 voices into the referendum. So the more you know, the more influence you get. So at the end of each week, on Sunday night, the results would come out, and our Fort McMurray's avatar, Fort McMoney, that's the SimCity-like part of the game, would evolve depending on the results. So that's a very quick resume of what Fort McMoney is. So that's a huge project that took 3 years to do. It's fairly disproportionate for the amount of people that was working on it. But we asked a lot from the players. There was lots of things to do. But it was 2 years of investigation in Fort McMurray, 60 days of filming, mostly at minus 30 degrees because our director really wanted to film during winter. We interviewed 55 people from very diverse backgrounds. So there are 8 hours of content available in the final product. So that's a lot in 3 languages. So that's thousands and thousands of video clips. So that's very heavy to manage. So of course we made some mistakes, and hopefully we'll learn from them. But we did good things as well, hopefully. So the downs. First of all, as I told you before, we got 8 hours of content. So we had a lot to say, but we also wanted to give a lot of freedom to the users. So for them to to forge their own opinion, they had to really get a broad view of what's happening over there. But when the average of amount of time players would spend on the website would be about 15 minutes, which is a lot. But when they realized that there was so much more after that 15 minutes, sometimes they got discouraged by the scale of the project. Don't shoot before you nail your script. So we postponed so much some aspect of the project. For example, the visual representation of our city's avatar. We came up with that a few weeks before the launch, and that was way too late and stressful for our team. We changed the script hundreds of times, but because we made some bad decision about the technology behind the back end, sometimes those iterations were really hard and complicated to make. So that too was stressful for the team. Don't set yourself unrealistic deadlines. So we decided that we would launch the project at ITFA on the 25th of November of last year. And we had lots of sleepless nights before that. And when we launched the project, there was a lot of bugs and problems, technical problems. So we should have had more time to test and correct all those mistakes. Don't plan a 3-year production time frame, because I think people working in the industry is used to work on small, short projects. So the technology is changing a lot, but also there's a fatigue installing itself. So we had some quitters. And some members of the team had bad management of time, so they were pretty slow at the beginning of the production process, and then they were rushed at the end because they didn't really understand the scale of what it would be. And be ambitious, but don't suffocate your company. We barely survived Fort McMoney. Yeah, that was a lot of work. We were really passionate about it. We did way more than we were supposed to when we got the money, but yeah, that was intense. Now I'm going to try to stop being so depressing. So what you can do, so innovate and be a little crazy. I think we experimented, we pushed the boundaries between game and documentary, and I think we can be really proud of that. It's never been done before with that scale. And this innovation attracted people, and they discovered great content, and they discovered an issue in Canada that concerns everybody. Presume your audience is intelligent. I was expecting about 100 or 200 comments in the debate section, but turns out there were more than 6,500 comments from very various point of views with intelligent reflections. So that was a really good part of the project. Content and design go hand in hand. We had the chance to have a wonderful artistic director, Maud Thibodeau, who really worked closely with David Dufresne. So because we had to film the interface, so that was, we really had to test all those ideas we had for the interface, and I think we did a great job on that. It's fluid. A project needs a voice, so we hired 3 game masters in the 3 languages. So in the course of the 2 first cycles, those people were there to stimulate the debate, to search the web for articles about Fort McMurray's and the oil sands. They were there to help the players to manage the social networks, and I think people felt like they were guided through their experience, this huge experience. So I think that was a good thing. And then plan international partnerships and collaborations, and I'm going to expand on that a little bit because it's really a key aspect of the success of the project. So media partnership. They were way beyond sharing content and audiences. It was really to reinforce the real-time aspect of the experience and to stimulate the debate. So of course there was media coverage about the game itself, not from our immediate partners, but from The Guardian, from Fast Company, Vice, and various media from all around the world. We had embed on news platforms. So we had that in various countries, in various medias. So at the start of the project, we decided that would be a key feature of the technology behind Fort McMoney, so it could be embedded then. Our media partnerships gave us the opportunity to broadcast unseen footage of Fort McMoney, but also making of footage of the production process. With certain partners, they decided to do exclusive investigation pieces about the oil sands. So they produced content for their platform, but then we embedded those contents into Fort McMoney in our news feed. And some journalists and columnists were super players. So in the debate section, their comment would be highlighted, so they would have an important place in the debate section, so they were really participating into the game, and they were identified so. So our partners were Radio-Canada for the French Canada, the Globe and Mail in Canada as well, Le Monde.fr in France, Süddeutsche, it's Germany, in Swiss as well, and Rue 89 in France, but the first four are the main partners for the project. For example, at the Globe and Mail, which were great partners, we had advertising on the homepage. Their news are features in our news feed when they did article about the issues over there. So they did articles about the oil sands. Our journalists participated into the game. They did articles about Fort McMoney and print advertising. So the results. So hopefully it worked. So since December 2013, there was more than 2 million page views, 615,000 visits, and from 412,000 registered players, from which there was 21,000 hardcore players who would come again and again every week to participate to the referendum and explore the city more and more. Like I said before, 6,500 comments in the debates posted by 2,000 people, and that's a proportion of the languages. So what's next? In Fort McMoney, we tried to be as objective as possible, so the players could make their own opinion about what's going on in Fort McMurray. But I think our director, David, wanted to have a loud voice about what he thought about Fort McMurray. So last November, we decided to do a movie based on the vast amount of footage we filmed for the web documentary. But we came back to Fort McMurray as well to film some more. So we did a movie, and the masters were sent to ARTE yesterday. So we're done, finally, with Fort McMoney. So what's next? We'll do tiny new projects as well. Only tiny projects. So that's it. Thank you.